Hey there, friends. You remember this guy?
This is Commander Cameron Yaste reportedly watching a training drill. As the internet was quick to point out, based on the Instagram photo that the U.S. Navy posted, the scope on the rifle is backwards. And it's hard to tell, but perhaps even has the lens cap on. The post was up on the Navy's Instagram with the caption, "From engaging in practice gun shoots, conducting maintenance, testing fuel purity, and practicing in sea and anchor, details the hashtag U.S. Navy is always ready to serve and protect." Commander Yaste, by the way, is a previous combat systems and weapons officer. He was also a weapons and executive officer. He attended the Naval Postgraduate School and got a master's degree in astronautics. For those of you who don't know, we looked it up. Astronautics is the study of spaceships.
That's right. That's the commander from earlier this year that you saw in a pose picture with his firearm on full auto. Notice the hand on his back shoulder. He needs a little bit of assistance to engage in full auto, apparently. This is like you seeing the young women in a Vegas full auto range needing assistance from behind so that they don't spray everybody out there. But everything about this picture is wrong. I'm shocked that nobody up the ladder knew that this guy was doing pretty much everything that you're taught not to do. Everything from his grip. Look at his chicken wing sitting out there. That right elbow is sticking way out there, which is not where it's supposed to be. The optic being backwards and the lens cap being down, yeah, that's pretty bad. Now granted, this was definitely meant to be a photo op, and the guy is shooting out into the frickin' ocean, so there's probably not a whole lot of people in danger here, although there's no way he saw anything. But this commander thought it would not only be a good idea to post this Billy Badass picture of himself, but also with the phrase highlighting the amazing work of our U.S. Navy sailors. Of course, he puts himself in that picture, from engaging in practice gun shoots, conducting maintenance testing, fuel purity, and participating in sea and anchor details. The U.S. Navy is always ready to serve and protect. And luckily they don't use a whole lot of small arms, right? Luckily they're shooting things, if they are a little bit more proficient at it, I'm hoping, a lot larger scale than what you're seeing right here. So fortunately, we're probably not going to see them engage in much hand-to-hand combat. If naval guys on a destroyer are having to resort to using these types of firearms to engage the enemy, everything went south. Everything. Now, after posting this, you guys will remember this guy caught a ton of flack. A ton. This was something that they did in a braggadocious way to show, look how tough I am, look at me, let me be in the photo op picture. I will say this, it's definitely not his fault that the optic is backwards. Now, he should have looked in it and seen that it was backwards, but there's no way that the commander of this destroyer put that optic on that gun. He did not do that. He did not put that optic on the rifle that you see in the pictures. Somebody else did that, which means there's at least two people on that destroyer who don't know what they're doing. But this was a promotional picture that made its way all the way up the ladder to several different layers, or through several different layers of folks, before somebody approved it and said, yeah, that's good to go. Let's put that on the internet. That's what I want to see representing us. Well, something has happened. Headline: American destroyer captain relieved of duty. The Navy on Friday fired the commander of a guided missile destroyer that is part of an aircraft carrier strike group deployed in the Middle East to counter attacks on shipping lanes in the Persian Gulf by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. Commander Cameron Yaste was relieved of his duties as commanding officer of the USS John S. McCain. Rear Admiral Christopher Alexander took the action, citing a loss of confidence to command the guided missile destroyer. So something happened. I'm not a military guy, right? I know my way around a firearm like most of you guys do. I am an average and above average user. Let's be honest here. Military guys usually are not the strongest people when it comes to firearms. No offense to my guys out there who actually do know firearms. It's like saying that law enforcement and military are the experts at guns. Really? Most law enforcement and most military will tell you that most law enforcement and military are not very good at guns. Some of them only touch their gun whenever they have to, whether it's a pistol or a rifle. So they are not the experts. Now, the media has created this thing that military and law enforcement are the experts. In fact, legislators are just as stupid, because you'll probably notice that in most of your states out there, The people who received actual constitutional carry, the right to carry a firearm, permission, I guess if you want to say it, by the state, without having to have a permit, like here in Louisiana, they got, the law enforcement and military got that right. Of course, we all have the right, right? But they got the state's permission to constitutionally carry before we did. They got it a year earlier because, guess what? Oh, law enforcement, military, they know guns. They actually don't. There are a subset of those folks, and not just the special operators and special forces folks. Those guys obviously are trained at a next level with firearms in most cases. But there are some of my friends who were in the military, and maybe some still are actually, that are next level with their firearms. But you take the masses, you take 100 guys that exit the military, and I guarantee you 80 to 90 of those have very little knowledge of firearms other than what they learned in basic, which they probably forgot most of. And then some of the other guys, of course, have become users of what I call our everyday guns, right? Non-military type guns. I'm talking about AR-15s, Glock pistols, things that we use in everyday life that's not meant for combat. No, they're not weapons of war. These are not unless you bring that war, right? But my point is, I think we have, and I say we, I'm talking about the media and society in general, have put these folks too high up on a pedestal. And maybe it's not fair to them because they didn't ask to be put on that pedestal, right? I've never seen a military guy, I haven't personally, I'm sure they're out there, say that just because I was in the military, I know more about guns than you. I really have never seen that. In fact, the ones who really do know firearms that are from the former military veterans, those guys actually are more humble about their next level use of firearms. So usually it's not the mouthy ones that are the ones that are very proficient with guns. If you hear a lot of chatter about somebody claiming how good of a gun guy they are and how much they know guns and how awesome they are with guns, they're probably not. Now, something definitely happened to get this guy pulled out of there. It was not the Twitter picture that got this man fired. Something happened, whether it was personnel-wise, a readiness issue. But I will tell you this, he was in charge of a destroyer in a very volatile area. If you look at this map right here, if you see blue, that's water. If you see water, he was patrolling those waterways in his destroyer. Everywhere from the Suez Canal, the Arabian Sea, the Gulf of Oman, this guy was all over in there. This is an area right now that's, even though things are popping off in the Israel area, all this area right now with the Houthi rebels and folks like that, this thing is like a tinderbox about to blow. And my thinking is somebody realized that while this guy might have known somebody, might have gotten a promotion, he just wasn't the guy we needed when S hits the fan, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's great during peacetime, and this guy gets to chug around and, you know, send pictures of himself to X or Twitter and say, look at me, look at my boys back home, you know, hey, tagging your friends saying, look, I'm shooting a fully automatic gun, even though I can't seat the buttstock in my shoulder right or anything else. I'm a badass here, look at me. Well, whenever the rubber is hitting the road, that's not the kind of person you need. You need an actual person who's capable. This is not the time for a DEI hire, and this is not the time for somebody who is in empty suit to be in charge of something. You got to be ready. And I'm assuming that it's along the lines of, again, it may be personnel or something happened. You know, he may have done something inappropriate. Again, could be readiness issue. But my guess is they realize we are getting into some times that we're going to need a quick thinker and somebody who not only can think on their feet, but somebody who can make tactical decisions. And this guy probably was not the one. Now, guess what he's going to be doing now? Pencil pushing. He's going to go back to administration. He's not going to get a cut in pay, likely. I mean, he's getting fired and he's getting demoted, but he'll probably keep the same pay. Government job, even though it's military, right? And I like the joke that people say officers, like this guy is in this case, the root word in the word officers is office. Well, that's where he's going. He's going back to the office, right? I did find it a little bit ironic looking through his bio that he was from Knoxville, Tennessee. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump from my friend Johnny B over there in Johnson City, Tennessee. So I have to wonder if before this guy deployed, If he didn't receive his gun training and gun knowledge from a very well-known Johnny B in that area, that would explain the backward scope and the lens cap being down, the chicken wing, the buttstock not being seated in the shoulder, the overconfidence, the braggadocious gesture.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.